Howdy, stoners. Welcome to this edition of Sticks and Stones. I hope you're having a lovely day. It is a glorious day here in the Republic of Texas, even though it is February. It's like 75. Just take what you get when you're in Texas, because it'll be winter one day and summer the next, But that's the beauty of this wonderful state. So I got a great show lined up for you today. I am bringing together some really distinctive flavors that I think you're really going to love. I am going to be pairing Tullibardine 500 sherry cask finish with a Punch Rare Corojo Magnum. So get prepared to embark on a sensory journey like no other. Not century, C-E-N-T, sensory, S-E-N-S-O-R-Y. As I am going to indulge your senses like they have never been indulged before. Maybe. We'll see. But anyway, right after this, we're going to pop the cork, cut the stick, get to toasting. So let's start off. I can't get my left and right when cameras like that. Can't get that figured out. Tullibardine 500. Tullibardine is not exactly the most well-known name in Scotch. I hadn't heard of it until just a few years ago. And, when you first hear about it, you're like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know, maybe good, maybe bad. But then I bought my first bottle of Tullibardine, and I'm like, it's pretty good stuff. And now I'm starting to see it more and more as people are kind of catching on. But even though it may not be that well known here in the U.S., this Highland single malt Scotch is part of a long and rich history of brewing and distilling at one of the oldest sites in Scotland. The story starts back in the 15th century, 1488. That's a long time ago. When King James IV of Scotland, he stopped by to get him a roadie on his way to his coronation. At that time, monks were distilling beer at the site. Everybody needs a roadie. We've got a long way to travel. You want to make sure you keep yourself hydrated. So he was so struck with the quality of the product that they were making that he granted them a royal charter in 1503. That's a big deal. The king gave you this. So in 1947, William Delma Evans converted the brewery into a distillery, and it began producing Scotch. So only been producing Scotch 50, 75, 78 years. But long history going back there. So the 500 sherry finish is matured for an undisclosed period of time in first fill bourbon casks before being transferred to 500 liter, hence the 500, sherry butts, Pedro Ximénez sherry butts for 12 months. So we know for a fact it's aged more than a year. And it has to be aged 3 years to be Scotch, I think, because I think that's what Johnny Walker Red is. It's just the minimum aging time. Anyway, there is no official age statement from the distillery on this product, but it is 100% malted barley, 43% alcohol by volume, so it's 86 proof. Let's go ahead and glass some up here. Now, I'm not using the normal. I'm doing the Political Patriot podcast after this, so I'm going right from this to that, and so I got ice today, but you'll just have to take my word for it. We'll go ahead and glass plenty of it up. It'll be a kind of a long afternoon. You still get the nice smells though, ice or not. Now, visually, since there's ice in the glass, I will use the bottle. As you can see, it is a beautiful kind of medium to rich copper, or amber. And it does host some really nice legs in the bottle. On the nose, I pick up a lot of fruits, pears, maybe some green apple, a little bit of lemon citrus in there. There's a little bit of maltiness. It's got a nice sweetness to it. And then I think you're also picking up kind of a little bit of a vinegary tart that I would think comes from the sherry butts. Yeah, really good on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. It's a little bit syrupy, so hence the good legs. It's got some sweet to it. I pick up more pears, a little lemon zest. There's a little bit of cherry on there, I think. And then maybe a little bit of vanilla. It's got a really, really great mouthfeel to it. And there is a little bit of alcohol burn. Not a lot. It's not enough to put you off, unless maybe you're like at the very, very new end of getting into whiskeys or scotches. And the finish is a kind of a medium to medium long finish. And most of it is towards the back of your tongue. And it does have that little bit of kind of tardiness of either like vinegar or lemon, but I don't pick up any lemon flavor in the finish. So it's a really good Scotch, as you can see. I have been enjoying it. Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, because I always love these names over in the UK. Tullibardine is in Blackford, Perthshire. It's kind of like being in Lord of the Rings. All right. Now then, on to Punch Rare Corojo. By the way, I kind of, before I cut it, this kind of helps, but don't do that at a cigar shop if you're using their cutters. Yeah, that's bad juju. Be an ethical cigar smoker. You wouldn't want anybody's spit on the cutter when you used it, would you? Yeah. All right. Now, this is a Magnum. It is 5.1 by 54 on the ring gauge. The filler is Dominican, Honduran, and Nicaraguan. The binder is a Connecticut Broadleaf, and it is all cloaked in a beautiful, beautiful Ecuadorian wrapper. Visually, it's a little darker than a medium brown. This one has been in my humidor for quite a while, and I am noticing some little bit of imperfections in it that appear to be from being in my humidor for like a year or two. But it is a little darker than medium brown. It's got a little bit of a reddish hue to it. It has tight and almost invisible seams on it. Not much in the way of veining, and what it has is very very minimal. And then it also has a very large double cap. Now I will note that, I don't know if the camera will be able to pick that up, that the cap is really put on there roughly. So I'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, on the nose, I get a little bit of like barnyard, also some chocolate, kind of a chocolatey sweetness, maybe a little bit of raisin in there, and a hint of nuttiness. Now, cold draw. Cold draw, I pick up I think some more raisins up front, and then maybe a little bit of baking spice, like a cinnamon, nutmeg, something along those lines, along with some leather. I've smoked this one several times, and not this particular stick, but this model. As a matter of fact, I have I just got a 10-pack in. I like them. They're a really good cigar, and they're a great way to spend a hour or so. Anyway, let's go ahead and light this puppy up. I am using my Rocky Patel Envoy. It is a 5-torch. I figure go big or go home. Off the light, I'm getting some real nice cashew notes, and I love cashews. There's also a little bit of coffee in here, and some kind of a molassesy, kind of a heavier sweetness, not like cane sugar or something like that. Just a little bit darker, deeper, not dark in a bad way, but you know what I mean. So let's try them together. I think those go pretty well together. Rocky Patel, he's been asked many times, what's a good spirit to go with your cigars? And he's like, you can never go wrong with a single malt Scotch. And that is pretty true. Whether you're talking Highland, Islay, Speyside, Lowland, Campbelltown, you got a good single malt Scotch. It'll pretty much go with anything. And you really need to have all those different ones in your repertoire, so that you got a little bit of everything to work with. So and I really do love this cigar from Punch. Actually, Punch, and I don't even remember what kind it was. When I was in Iraq in 2004, we were able to buy what we think were Cubans. That's what they were supposed to be, but you never know in Iraq. And you could get Punch, H. Upman, and some, a couple of the other larger names like Monte Cristo or whatever. Romeo and Juliet, that was the one I was really thinking of. And they'd be tubos. They come in little aluminum tubes. And that's where I first found my love for Punch cigars. Seems to be doing pretty well. I do have one little spot right there. It looks like it's trying to peel up now that I've got it kind of toasted. So, like I said, it's been in my humidor a while. Got knocked around. It was still in cellophane though. So, but these two do marry really well together. You've got the kind of the fruity notes and the vanilla in the spirit, and you've got some chocolate. And chocolate and fruit does go together. Chocolate covered cherries, chocolate covered. I've had chocolate covered pineapple, chocolate covered raisins, all that kind of stuff. And so then you kind of have the cashews, chocolate covered cashews, coffee and chocolate go really well together. Mocha, and I think this is this Tullibardine 500 is a very affordable bottle, somewhere around $50 plus or minus. And the Punch Rare Corojo is not an expensive cigar, and it's not a cheap cigar either. But you can probably pick one up for somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 to $10. Kind of depends on inflation. So And this one and the one I smoked yesterday were the last two that I had from my previous purchase, however long they've been in my humidor. And I will note that I did not have the little bit of problem with the peel up on one side and then the cap being kind of wonky. So I think it was just this particular cigar, you know, and you run into that. If you buy a 5-pack, you might have one that's completely different than the other 4. These are handmade, and most premium cigars are. And that is what gives you the kind of inconsistencies from here to there. You know, it's not a lot, but you got a lot of these people down there rolling them, and they all have their own style. So you may get some differences here and there, but generally they are fairly consistent if you're talking about the good premium brands, you know, like the ones I just mentioned. Now, I am not going to be doing the full hour-long, here's everything about this smoke. You know, I'm trying to make things a little bit briefer. You get the ideas, you see how they go, you know, that kind of thing. But you're not having to sit there and watch an hour. You know, some guys that do just the, you know, they do just cigar pairing or just whiskey reviews. They're done in like 8 or 10 minutes, where I was doing like 45 minutes or an hour. And I know it's got to get boring. You're like, yeah, I'll sit there and watch you smoke for an hour, unless you're doing it yourself, you know. So, but this is a really, really good cigar. This is a very good spirit. I've got a couple of other bottles of Tullibardine, and they are equally good for a name that I had not heard about, you know, more than, you know, a couple of years ago. They do some really good work, and you know, you don't have to pay over $100 to get it. Very good. Now, I said when I started this that I'm jumping from here and going over to the Political Patriot. I'm going to be doing my podcast over there, and all I'm doing is changing the account on Rumble. But if you want to hear me more, if all of this gloriousness that you're seeing is appealing and you want to watch some more of it, I'm going to be on the Political Patriot. And that's, you know, just the Political Patriot. No weird spellings. 3 words, the Political Patriot. You can get it on X, Rumble, YouTube, I think. Just look around. The only real problem I'm having is, well, I didn't get, this is not on X. I don't know, for whatever reason, this wouldn't connect up, but the Political Patriot does. So if you want to go over and watch a little more and hear a little bit of my political perspectives, hop on over there, YouTube and Rumble. And I think I can get X on that one. Yeah, it's, you know, I don't remember things from week to week. But anyway, don't forget to go and support my friends at Freedom Fatigues. Freedom Fatigues, just like it sounds, Freedom and Fatigues, freedomfatigues.com. They have a whole bunch of patriotic wear, hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts. They got key rings, they all kinds of stuff. Freedom Fatigues. They're veteran owned, and everything is made right here in this country, USA. Made in the USA. And if you put in Sticks and Stones 1, STICKSNSTONEZ, and the number 1 at checkout, you will get a discount. So go and get you a nice shirt. As a matter of fact, Kash Patel, the guy that they're trying to get confirmed for FBI director, I have another Freedom Fatigue shirt that I actually wore yesterday because I was planning on doing this yesterday, and it's the exact same design that he was wearing on an interview with Ryan. What's his last name? Can't remember. Big guy on X. and he was doing an interview with this guy, and he's kicked back in his chair. And I looked at that design, and I'm like, I got that shirt. I could never see his arm to see if it, but I'm assuming it was a Freedom Fatigues, because generally those kinds of designs go from one to the other. And it was like 5 or 6 stars in an arch, and then the Gadsden snake, and then don't tread on me below it. So he was wearing it. Go to Freedom Fatigues and get you one, put in Sticks and Stones 1 at checkout, and you'll get a discount. But until we get to be together again, keep your sticks dry, stones cold. Have a great day.